YouTube, I guess I thought I'd show you part 2 of the Megasquirt conversion. This is probably going to be more like about 5 parts because I think the videos will be too long if I just do 3, so I'm going to break this up into 5 different videos. But first I'm going to show you the throttle, the Holley TBI throttle body I got. This was the original one I got in the first video. Like I said, I was going to powder coat it, and this is what it looks like. So it's on the top it's just a gloss black powder coat, and then the actual spacer, a converter, is actually a black wrinkle. And I also bought I got this on eBay, an extra one for 40 bucks. It's a almost the identical device here. This thing cost 40 bucks, and it came with some wiring harnesses, and I'm glad it did, because this wire, I found out, this thing is super hard to get. It's a Chrysler 4-pin, but it's super weird and very rare, so glad I got that harness. But one of the reasons why I bought 2 is I like to have spares for everything, because you know, like when I'm off-roading and I'm 100 miles in, or at least an hour and a half in the mountains, I mean, I want to be able to have spare parts for everything. And one of the nice things about TBI is that, you know, I mean, I have my 2 fuel injectors on top here, but then I also have this fuel pressure regulator in the back here. So, you know, if something happens with a regulator or any of the injectors, I can quickly just take off, you know, 1, 2, 3 screws, pop this whole thing off, and then I'll have an extra set of injectors and fuel pressure regulator ready to go. So it also I'll have extra sensors, you know, throttle position sensor. And one of the nice things too is actually this one came with this little device. It's like a stepper, and it goes up and down, but it's just, you know, if I apply a 12-volt positive here, it will step this up. But these older Holley ones didn't actually have the idle air control valve. You know, there's no, I mean, they're there, but it's not drilled out for it. So I'm going to use the F-idle circuit on the Megasquirt to control my idle. So in the morning, like when it's cold, it will. I live at the beach, so it never gets. I live in Southern California, so it never gets freezing here. So really, you don't even need a choke. But I was going to use this for like well, I mean, I'll see if I can get it to work, but we'll see. And then I also have at the same time, I'm doing a TFI conversion. So got that TFI distributor, and got a new TFI coil. But then I also got this at a junkyard. It's another TFI. I like to have, you know, back up some spares of everything. I'm going to use this bracket right here. I'm going to probably cut it and make it fit, you know, weld it, and I'm going to powder coat it black too. And then in one of my other videos, I showed you the you know, me repairing this fuel pump. So I mean, I don't know if I trust it 100%, you know, to be an off, you know, like a, I don't know, we'll see. But I'm going to keep it as a spare, as a backup, in case I bought a new one. So in case this new one fails on the trail, at least I'll have a backup right here with this one. And just a little spare parts bag. And then I have even though I already have an LC1 wideband, I got a new one. It's an MTXL. The actual wideband controller is built into the actual gauge. So that I got that too. I was hoping to clean up the wires a little bit because I wanted to make this really clean. And then above it I have a 3-wire narrowband, and I also have a 4-wire universal narrowband. And then so let me get back over here to the Megasquirt box here. So I've already taken out all the unnecessary wires I didn't need out of this, actually, the wiring harness. The nice thing about this amp connector is you can pop it open and the wires just pull out. But one of the nice things about the EMS-PRO is that all these wires are nicely labeled. So it's real. I don't know if you can see that, but it says IAC. If it focuses in here, so every wire is nicely labeled, which is really, really cool. And then I got the relay box, the Megasquirt relay box. So even though it has like a little shitty DB37 connector, yeah, I just like how clean it is. I mean, I'm going to be able to actually hook up my sensor right to these little feeds right here, and not have to go straight to the actual harness. So everything's nicely contained, and So tonight, the next step is I'm going to cut these wires down. I'm going to cut this harness down, probably down to about 1.5 feet, because I'm going to have both these under my dash. And I'm going to, solder on the actual DB37 connectors, the ones I use. And the next step will be to do hook this up to my 12-volt power supply right there. And do a bench test with all the sensors, the fuel pump, and see if I can get this thing to actually run. And I don't want to tear my car apart until I know this thing's actually going to function correctly, 100%. So next step, I'm going to cut those wires down, make the wiring harness shorter, and put that relay box in there. But give me 1 second. I'll show you an extra. Put that down real quick. I had actually built a relay box. I took this off a Ford Explorer. It would actually work pretty good, but I really wanted a clean install. This was actually a relay box. Came with the relays. I got it from a junkyard. It came off an Explorer, and I'd already actually rewired the whole thing already for Megasquirt. But I just wanted something really, really clean. And when you're on the trail, I don't want it to be. I want to be able to sit there. I want to be able to sit there and just look right at this relay box and go, hey, well, why is the fuel pump not running? And I can look right at the relay. It's nice and clean. Everything's labeled. So that's the reason why I went with the relay box versus trying to wire everything myself. I just figured it'd be easier to troubleshoot. So, all right, in the next video, I will show you the connected relay box and the sensors mounted. And I'm going to fire up my laptop and we'll see if I can get this thing to read this EMS-PRO and get everything tested, and we'll see. And then the next step will be putting it in the car. So this will be video 2, and then video 3 will be actually dismantling the actual old system and putting on just like the physical hardware, like the fuel line, fuel pump, the throttle body, and then the 4th video will be actually doing the electronics in the car. And the 5th video will be like tuning the thing and making it work. So, all right. So I thought I'd show you guys as I'm soldering this connection what I'm doing to make it go. But as you can see, as I'm going, I'm soldering to the DB37 connector, but I'm also putting a little shrink wrap on there. So I'd also maybe show you like a little tip on how to make this thing a little bit quicker and faster. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the F-idle wire. There's the green wire here. So the pinouts are a little bit different on EMS-PRO than they are the DB37, but you can't see in front of you, but I have a computer right in front of me. And I'm looking at my PDF for the EMS-PRO, and I have a schematic of the relay board. So the first thing I'm going to do here, I'm just going to take a small little piece of the jacket off, and the trick here is these connectors are very small, so I have a really, it's a pretty good soldering iron, but it's a really fine tip, soldering tip. And to make this thing easier and stick quicker, I first actually put a little solder on the pad first, before I even try to stick the wire. So I'm going to put some solder on the pad, make sure I'm on the right pad. Okay, so I got some solder on the pad, and I also put a little bit of solder on the tip of the wire. I don't know if you can see that. I'll move that over a little bit. So I'm going to put just a little bit of solder on the tip of the green wire here. It's kind of tricky, but you'll see when it's smoking. There we go. Okay, and next thing I do is cut a little piece of shrink wrap here. Okay, put that on the wire. Grab the soldering iron. And this is the cool thing about the EMS-PRO is all the wires are labeled. So this is the F-idle circuit. So this is going to give me the, like when the car warms up, like in the morning, this will give it a little bit of boost the idle just a little bit. Okay. Blow on it just a little bit. Make sure it's. I think get it there. It's hard to do this while I'm trying to position this in the camera for you guys, but make sure it gets stuck. Okay, that's good contact. Blow it. Make sure it dries fast. Okay, so we got a good grip. I come back and I slide down the shrink wrap. Well, give it 1 second. Cool off. You don't want the shrink wrap to shrink before you can get over the connector, so give it 1 or 2 seconds to unshrink. Now it's down over the connector. I like the shrink wrap because I mean they're so close together, I don't want to get contact on any of the wires, so I always use shrink wrap. A little shrink wrap iron. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, get the camera. Ready? Good. So 1 more down, and I have a few more to go, and then I'll be putting the hooking this up to the relay board and giving it power. All right. So in the next video, I'll be giving the relay board power, and hopefully the ECU will power on. All right. Cool. So I thought I'd show you the relay board connected to the EMS-PRO. Right now, the only thing I have connected to this thing is power. So, and it's connected to my 12-volt power supply here. So. Let's give it a shot. So it looks like I have lights, and I hear a click, and that one light goes out. So I don't have my computer connected yet, so I don't really know if that's good or bad, but I think it's good because the main relay comes on, click, and then the fuel pump relay comes on for a second, click, and then goes off because it doesn't get a tag signal. So I'm thinking this is correct. So I'm not going to know until I get my laptop connected tomorrow, but I think that's good. I mean, but I think there would be a light that stays on, but yeah, I don't see one. So, and then when I turn it off, I hear the relay click off again, so I know the power is shutting off. But, see. Click, and then click, click, and then the relay clicks off, and then the power goes off here. So I don't know what lights are on or what's up. So guess I'll find out tomorrow when I get the laptop connected. So alright, cool. So quick update. I got done with the wiring of the distributor and coil. Comes around. So next thing I'm going to do is hook this up to the relay board. So there are the outputs. I have a tack in, ignition, sorry. You know, I have a positive 12 volt switched. That's going to go to the relay board. Then the green and the white, it's ignition A and tack in. So this is actually what's going to drive. Tell Megasquirt that the actual engine's running. And then the black is the negative, go to ground. So another interesting thing too is, remember I told you that this thing requires a positive input to control the actual stepper for idle control, kind of like a choke, I guess. Well, on this relay board, I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's a little jumper. It's called J1, and there's a V and a G. So right now it's jumpered for ground. So that what happens is when the F idle circuit is enabled, it's going to send out a negative voltage, whereas I want this to send out positive voltage, so I'm going to switch that jumper over. So when F idle circuit, it's going to send a positive circuit out, and it's going to make this thing operate. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is do the coolant temperature sensor, throttle position sensor, air intake temperature, and I'll hook up one of these narrowband O2 sensors just to test. All right. Okay, so I have everything set up here. I mean, there's a lot of wires everywhere, but I pretty much have everything set up. And I'm going to walk around to each device here and show you connected and tested and working. Give me 1 second. Detach the camera. Okay, here we go. First, I have the distributor and the actual TFI coil, and from there, it's all wired in to my harness, and it goes into my relay board. Then I have a little cable that goes from here to a spark tester, and then I have a it's pretty hot, just be careful when you hook these up because they're really hot. A narrowband O2 sensor, and that goes, and it's wired into the relay board. Then I have the air intake temperature, that's wired into the relay. Then I have the coolant temperature sensor that goes into the relay board. This is the throttle body. I have the TPS in there. So I haven't put the weatherproof connector on there, but I have it. I wanted to make sure this was actually wired correctly before I put the connector on there. That goes into the actual relay board. Then I have the injectors going into the relay board. And the fuel pump is right here. And that's going into the relay board. And that goes into my EMS-PRO. And the nice thing about the EMS-PRO is it actually has a built-in USB. So I don't need like a serial to USB adapter. So there we go, and that's Tuner Studio. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you some of the sensors. This is the actual throttle position sensor, and this tells basically the computer where the engine's at, like where your foot is on the throttle. So see me doing that. So if you look in the screen here, I'm actually moving the throttle position sensor, so I know it's working. It's wired correctly. I've already tested the actual these two, and I know they're wired correctly too. So that and the O2 sensor's fine too. Tested that. So everything actually works. It's fired up. I just wanted to kind of show you. This is kind of like I have it set up to the point where it's going to be a complete like running engine. So what happens is, you know, Megasquirt won't actually fire the fuel pump or do anything, fire the fuel injectors until you get a tach signal from the distributor. So what I'm going to do is spin this gear. It's going to create a spark. It's going to fire up the fuel pump. The fuel pump will start spinning, and at the same time the ejectors will start pulsing. So yeah, check this out. So I'm going to spin this. You'll hear the stuff kicking in the background, and then I'll go to each device and hear that. So I'm actually spinning the distributor by hand, and we're getting a spark. You hear the fuel pump moving, and at the same time, I don't know if you can hear that, but the injectors are pulsing too at the same time. So this is actually what's happening when the engine's running. The engine's spinning over, and I have an engine running here. Spark, fuel pump running, and if you look in there, you can see the actual pulsing LEDs for the injectors. So that was it. Yeah, at the same time you can see like the you can see all the gauges going crazy here. Alright, so that's it. That's part 2. So tomorrow I'm going to take off all the mechanical stuff, the old carburetor, old distributor, MSD box, put on the throttle body unit, put in the electric fuel pump, run the fuel lines, and then once I'm done with that, get all the mechanical stuff done, then I'll come back in and start mounting the computer, then do all the wiring. So kind of cool. It's kind of fun. I mean, it's kind of messy. I mean, there's wires everywhere, but it's pretty cool. I've actually done a couple of Megasquirt projects for other cars, so it's not the first time I've done this. All right, cool.